The children of Israel have just come from captivity. Some are still mentally and psychologically enslaved. Some are swelling with hope. Others cower in dread. The scene around them is one of awe, pillar of fire by night and pillar of smoke by day, leading them, over them, and always before them. I can only imagine the sounds. It's a dramatic scene of epic proportions with thunder, lightning, smoke, fire, and a trumpet sound as God speaks directly to Moses and Aaron. This close to the Spirit of God, they must have seen the particles of soil around their feet ripple and respond to the raw power of God in that cloud and pillar of fire. There must have been rumbling sounds from the earth around them, and they were surrounded by the emptiness of the wilderness. Yet God provided everything they needed. Their sandals and clothes never wore out while they were in the wilderness. Freedom from captivity in Egypt came to them. Some saw the staves that Pharaoh's sorcerers turned to snakes, but were then swallowed up by Moses' staff that had been turned into a snake under God's power. They all saw and felt the effect of the various plagues on the Egyptians. Then they saw how the Egyptians who had given chase to them were swallowed up by the sea when the waters were allowed to advance. At some point, as recounted by the book of Numbers, they got an affliction of fiery serpents in the desert that bit and caused death. For snakes to be described as fiery serpents, they must have been displaying aggression and biting them down and causing all manner of grief. Imagine being there and hearing God command Moses to fashion the bronze snake statues, and him insisting that the Israelites set their eyes on the bronze statue, while serpents writhed at their feet and around them, and they got healed. Imagine being there, having been bitten by a venomous serpent in a desert, something that signaled sure death. Yet, all you needed to do was look up. Look away from the fiery serpents at your feet and onto the brazen image and get healed. What a sight. What a wonder. In this very eventful, approximately 40 years that they spent in the wilderness, they never physically aged. Yet, in Exodus 22, in the wilderness and at the foot of Mount Sinai, God sets out various laws for how the Israelites should live with each other, giving them guidelines and laws for communal living. Then in the middle of all these laws, something interesting. Verse 18, suffer no witch to live. The first time I came across this in my younger years, it seemed out of place and not in line with all that was happening. After all, it was a brand new time, right? Yes and no. You see, Egypt was a strange place for the Israelites. It tortured them, but at the same time it seduced them. There was open sorcery. Witchcraft and magical practices were all commonplace. The Israelites must have learned some of these practices and even adopted some of them. Some had even started forgetting about God. 430 years is a long time. Generations came and went. And if they were not diligent in teaching their young about God, then the truth of God had started to fade, much like today. But what are we talking about here? Magic, witchcraft, sorcery, divination. What is magic? Sometimes spelled magic, it is the application of beliefs, rituals, or actions employed with the intent to manipulate natural or supernatural beings and forces. Historically, a negative concept of evil magic, maleficence. Remember the movie Maleficent? You may have heard of this evil magic by its more accurate term before. It is called sorcery. The term magic also encompasses benevolent folk magic and today refers to diverse modern spiritual paths like Wicca that use magic for healing, protection, and personal growth. Distinct from historical accusations, but sometimes using the same practices. The Wiccans are the so-called good witches or white witches. More about this in a later episode. Witchcraft is the practice of magic, traditionally involving supernatural powers to cause harm or fortune. often linked to pacts with the devil in European history, leading to widespread witch hunts against accused individuals who were often poor elderly women for misfortunes like illnesses or crop failure. Divination, however, is a darker branch of witchcraft. And the crazy thing is that it is everywhere now. Divination is the practice of seeking hidden knowledge or predicting the future by interpreting signs, omens, or through rituals, often involving alleged contact with supernatural forces, spirits, including those of the dead, also known as necromancy, or universal wisdom. Methods vary globally, including astrology, tarot cards, scrying, palmistry, I Ching, bone reading, or pendulum dowsing. All these used to serve purposes from problem solving to spiritual guidance or understanding causes of misfortune. I just mentioned scrying earlier. Scrying is an ancient divination practice of gazing into a reflective surface like water, a crystal ball, or a dark mirror to gain inner sight, guidance, or visions about the future self or unknown matters, essentially seeing through a trance-like state to access intuition or subconscious knowledge. Originating from the Old English, descry, which means to reveal, it's a form of second sight, offering symbolic insights rather than literal future telling, and is used by mystics such as Nostradamus. It is also present in modern fantasy games such as Dungeons and Dragons and, of course, numerous movies. Do you see how deceptively dangerous some of the things that are portrayed as cool tricks actually are? The occult is a deep, dark rabbit hole that never ends. When one starts going down, all that can happen is that one will only get sucked deeper and deeper and get lost further and further. I digress. Growing up, I got a chance to see witchcraft in its several forms with my own two eyes. So I would find it laughable when I would later meet Christians who would bluntly tell me that there was no such thing as witchcraft. To speak legalese, ignorance is no defense. One of the things I had a deep awareness of even before salvation was the fact that the spiritual realm was real and actively affecting the physical world. I saw my granddad challenge witches and wizards daily, and even though he did not practice Christianity the way I got to know it later, he would affect his surroundings in such a profound way. I have seen my granddad manipulate the weather. He would call rain on a bright sunny morning, and within minutes it would be raining. I have seen him incapacitate night runners. These are people over whom the occult has a hold, and the demonic spirit compels them to run around at night and terrorize people by inducing the fear and terrors of the night. These night runners, while mostly harmless in terms of the kind of witchcraft they employ, have been known to occasionally get dangerous and have even caused deaths from some of the malicious things that they have gone ahead and done, like setting homes alight with occupants in them just so that they can feed on the terror that they induce. Anyway, I have seen one of these night runners get compelled to inaction by my granddad. He spoke, and it happened. That was some deep spiritual knowledge right there. I remember this one instance when he called the name of the night runner, so and so, son of so and so. The day you step in my homestead again will be your last day to bewitch. You see, it was rumored that this person, who was known all over the village, was a serial night runner and had apparently inherited the trait from his grandfather and father. He was known for repeatedly visiting homesteads and terrorizing them by throwing stones and sand over the corrugated sheet roofs, banging on doors, stomping around houses, and peering through door cracks and keyholes. A few nights later, we woke up to a chilly morning at 5 a.m. to take the cattle to pasture, only to find the man, who was well known to the locals, stark naked and stuck in place. It was like he froze mid-stride. He stayed there with all of us, gathering round, wondering what was happening to him. When my granddad came out of his house more than an hour later, the sun had just started warming the day. My granddad came, looked him over, and asked him to state his business. The man could only beg for forgiveness over and over. My granddad then tapped him with his cane, and he was released from whatever hold had him stuck in place. My granddad then asked him to never come back, or else next time his heart would stop. Like, subscribe, and share widely to be notified of the next part of this series. I am Tony, and this has been your double 5-minute bite. Catch you next week.